Hello everybody, Kawahonda from ebodies.org. So I wanted to sort of post a continuation about the previous video that I did about my shifter not working. I had the good luck of meeting one wild RT from the forums. He's a great guy. I sent him off my shifter. I told him I was confused why it's not working. He was confused as well. He took everything apart and pretty much came to the same conclusion that I did, which was something was not built right from the factory. So essentially what I've always guessed is this is what I referred to as the pocket in the last video. This is what I refer to as the plate. And I was saying that the plate didn't have enough movement inside of the pocket, right? So this is all the movement that you get is this, right? Not much. If you want working slapstick, it has to move a lot more than that. So my guess was that this piece was cut too long, or this piece should have been cut out more. I'm not sure, right? No one really knows, but we do know that this is faulty from the factory, which is a really interesting thing. Okay, so this is a torn apart shifter of the one you saw the last video, and that's really all I can tell. Now this is the shifter that Randy, One Wild RT, sent me. Great guy. So I was pretty much comparing parts as much as I could, and everything looks pretty much identical, at least the stuff that I can see. I did notice that there are some part number differences. For example, this is written sort of right side up. It's 4, 5, 6 something, and this is written sort of upside down, and it's 4, 6, 2. So slightly different part numbers, right? This is a working slap shift, and it's a higher, a part number that's higher than my old one. So, maybe this was kind of an early build of a slap shift that, didn't work as well, or I don't know. I'm just making guesses. I don't know. So anyways, let's toss my old stuff aside since we don't really need to look at that anymore. Basically, what I'd like to do for this video is explain how a slap shift works, and I'd also like to explain how to grease it up and kind of what to expect when you disassemble it. Alright, so first off, you're going to want to clean it, right? So what I do, take the spring off, right? And I like to use brake part cleaner. What I'll do, and of course I'll take off this too, and I'll spray everything down with the brake parts cleaner until the liquid is clear, right? That means you've gotten out as much stuff as you can, right, without fully disassembling it, which by the way you don't want to do because there's rivets and you got to cut them out. Not really made to be fully disassembled. So once you got all that done, then you want to use some good grease. Now, I guess I'm kind of not a fan of the white lithium grease. I like this sort of red synthetic grease. Smells good, it looks good. I've had this for like 10 years. I still have a lot of it left, and I've restored about 10 or so motorcycles. So it lasts you a long time, right? It's made by Fox? I don't know, but I just like saying it. It's made by Fox. Really good grease. I love it. You certainly want to grease all along the pocket. You want to grease anywhere this plate touches, right? So grease all along here, grease up there, right? You want to grease the side of the plate. I use this pick, right? Dab it in some grease and kind of get in there and sort of grease as much of the pocket as you can. Grease in here, right? Grease around here. And then I like to also take grease and stick it in the spring, stick some grease up in there, right? And grease the pivot points, right? There's 2 of them, one on each side. Grease it up real good. A good grease job should take you more than 5 minutes, I think. It should take you anywhere from 5 to 10. So do a good job. Make sure it's really lubed up well. That's what she said. And then you'll have a pretty good working shifter. Okay, let's talk about how the shifter works. I think that's important. because everybody's been waiting to see this. One thing I wanted to do is I wanted to kind of correct myself. First, let's get an idea how this works first. The last video, I made a mistake and I said something was reverse when it wasn't. So let me tell you exactly how this works, okay? So this is park, right? Park's the big D10 at the very top. Previously I said this was reverse. That's not correct. So here's how it really is. Park, reverse, neutral, drive, second, and first. Okay? Notice neutral and drive share the same sort of plane. And the reason for that should be obvious, right? You should be allowed, if you're going down a hill and you want to, conserve gas, to slap the stick forward into neutral to coast, right? And slap back and forth. That should work, right? So everything I'm talking about right now is essentially bench testing, right? This is what you should expect a working shifter to perform, okay? One other thing I wanted to talk about before we start talking about the slapstick mode is I wanted to talk about the ball, right? So you'll need an Allen wrench. It is specifically a 332 is what I'm using, okay? You want to loosen it, and then you want to tighten it all the way down until it gets tight where you can't really go anymore. And then you want to back it off until you see it centered. And then you want to do one full turn until you see the Allen bolt again, and then tighten it. That's going to be about the right spot. Now if you look at the factory service manual, which I do have right here, this will tell you the exact measurement from the tip of this to the base of this, right? I'm giving you a close, quick measurement, right? So loosen this bolt all the way, tighten it all the way down until it gets tight, loosen it until this is centered with the backside, and then loosen it one full turn. That'll give you approximately where it should be. Now the specs, I don't remember the exact number. It's like 0.37, 0.38 inches. It's really weird, right? But essentially the button should stick up a bit, and this is about where it should be. Okay, now slapstick mode, what everybody's been waiting for. Okay, we're in first gear, right? Slap, second, slap, drive. That's how it works. First, second, drive. All right? It's that easy. That's exactly how it works. Now, let's look a little closer. When I slap it into second, it's going to pivot the plate, and the plate locks in place. Notice that. The plate locks. So I can just move it into third if I wanted to. Now, if this is hooked up, you have the shifting rod that's connected here, and it's going to be under tension, so it's not going to behave like that. This is simply just bench testing, right? So I'm going to slap it into first. It's going to do all the pivot it needs to do as soon as I pass first, and then I can simply, without friction, move it to drive. Now notice it's in drive and it's locked. This is interesting, right? Because if I approach it from park and go to reverse, neutral, and then drive, it's not locked, right? There's a good reason for that. And I had to hook this back, I had to hook this up to my car to figure out why they made it that way. It's pretty clear. First, and that's second, and then third. The reason they made it like that is so you don't overshoot into neutral if you're shifting aggressively. That's actually a pretty cool engineering feature. So again, first, sorry, I went too far. And again, there's no tension on here, so sometimes it can overshoot. That's okay. I don't think that's an issue. It won't ever do that if you're actually in the car. And again, there's a rod hooked up to it. But first, second, and third, right? And it's in a pocket. That's normal behavior, right? So it can't move. All you have to do is just slightly depress the button, and you'll see the plate kick back forward. Now you're out of slapstick mode, right? So now you're in drive, just like you were, and you could shift it to neutral, back to drive, and drive however it should be, right? So pretty straightforward. That's all I wanted to talk about. Hope everybody enjoyed this. Hope this gives you an insight of how this device should work. It's a pretty cool looking device. Interestingly enough, I created a forum with a thread with a name, Is Slapstick a Lie? Well, for me, it was a lie because it never worked when it came out. But now, having an actual working one, it's pretty cool. Have fun, guys.